My name is Parisienne Sasazuka. I'm a drag queen here in Berlin. I'm originally from France, and I also lived in Japan, and that influenced me a lot in my day-to-day life and in my art. And I've been in Berlin for almost 6 years now. I think in my life the biggest turning point was the passing of my mother, which actually happened exactly 10 years ago today. And for me, that really changed my perspective on life. For a very long time, it was quite dark. However, this is also what got me to start drag, because I just realized that I was putting boundaries on myself by myself. Nobody else was. And life can be taken out of you in really short time, and you can spend your whole life expecting that something better will come along, and suddenly you don't even have that chance anymore. So that happened 10 years ago, and 5 years ago, 6 years ago I came to Berlin. 5 years ago I started doing drag. I had absolutely no expectation of doing that ever. And I just decided to go for it. And this is how I guess I'm here today. I guess my favorite thing is my music. I know it's not physical, but I wouldn't be able to survive without music. And actually music has inspired my art outside of drag as well, since I'm a child. One of the oldest songs I can remember that I've been dancing and lip syncing to was from the musical Annie. So it's an American Broadway musical, but the version I was listening to was from the movie, because my sister went to see the movie when I was maybe a toddler, so I didn't go, but she had the record, the vinyl record, and I was listening to this with having no clue what it was, because I haven't seen the movie. I think I was 4 or 5 years old, and I remember imagining things, because the lyrics were very strange for the kid that I was. Many words that I didn't have a clue what they meant. So I was imagining everything. It was very strangely, very sexual in my head. And I remember just dancing around, singing the songs. I knew the record by heart, and the record, vinyls, they were like scratching. So then they would skip and they would come back and come back and come back. Despite of that, I would listen to it and help I don't know how you say it, the sapphire. I would help the sapphire, like I would push gently the sapphire so it would move on after the skip, so I can continue listening to the song. And that soundtrack for me was amazing. If I had a time machine, maybe you can tell by my makeup, but I would definitely go back to the 80s. I was born in 1980, and I loved that decade so much. I loved living it, and I love looking back at it even now. And actually my persona as a drag queen is completely inspired by 80s empowered, like, business women, like big shoulders, bold makeup, big hair. This is what I love about that decade, and that's definitely where I would like to go back. If I had to describe my world in one word: delusional or delusion. Because at 40 years old, I would never envision myself doing what I'm doing. I still collect toys. I do collect toys from the 80s, obviously, but I still love toys. I'm still drawing comics. I paint my face and I put on women's clothes and do things like this. I would have never seen myself doing this at 40 years old. My personal idea of the future. Hopefully, ecologists. I really hope, and I had for a really tiny period of time, hope that this pandemic would change to the core how we are dealing with what we're doing in the world and to the world, to the planet Earth itself. We went really fast back to bad old habits, unfortunately. But I still hope that it had switched something, especially we are talking a lot about young people today, and I think the children that have to leave this as their normal will definitely have a different perspective on things. Because for us, it's easy to just be like, oh, I love my hot shower so much. I love to watch my TV and I love my microwave, being able to just put my things and make them warm again in 2 seconds. Of course, it's so convenient for us. But maybe the kids, they will be like, I'm not sure this is the good thing. I'm not sure I really need that. Let me try something new. Let me try to go back to something more natural. And I really hope that this is where we're going eventually. I don't believe it will happen in the next 20 years, but I do believe it will start happening in the next 20 years. All my plans for 2020 went out the window. I was supposed to go to Japan and I was working on my solo show, all those things out of the window. Was I upset or annoyed? Of course I was, but what can you do? There's nothing you can do. It's a health crisis that affects the whole world. And I certainly never dreamt that that situation would ever happen. I would have having to leave a war, like the Third World War. That I would absolutely expect. I'm not looking forward, that's for sure, but I would expect that. I was not expecting a pandemic. I didn't think that it was even a thing. So my plans of not going to Japan, my plan of can't be able to do my solo show are nothing compared to people who are actually losing their lives, or worse, the people that are left behind and can't even spend those last moments with the people they love because they are not allowed to be with them. And I think that's the most terrible thing that can happen to someone. So yeah, my plans, it's fine. I'll look forward to accomplish them later. I'm sure that day will come again. And if it doesn't, then the life will be different anyway. So we will just have to deal with it.